Hello and welcome to Unsourced Wall. My name is Elvis, and as always, I'm your host. Now, this is going to be another kind of quick and short one. We're going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. I had a bunch of other things going on lately, including Comics Code Authority, which has released its first 2 episodes. I'm going to put the links in the description below. It's on SoundCloud, and I think we're having a lot of great time there. So this might go to the wayside a little bit, but I'm going to try and get weekly episodes out for this as much as I can. So let's get into news topics. The first of which is that we have the first brand new trailer for the upcoming Sweet Tooth show on Netflix, based on Jeff Lemire's Vertigo comic at DC. And it looks pretty good. One thing about it that's already been commented on is that the trailer has a vast tone difference from the comic. It looks a lot more like a fantastical kids adventure kind of thing. A lot of bright colors, a lot of sort of big, overt moments, while the comic itself is very kind of down, gritty, and dirty and very post-apocalyptic. So that's one big thing. But otherwise, it looks like it's hewing pretty faithfully. The casting looks great, and just the kind of tone, despite the difference and distinction, I think it really looks kind of engaging. I hope that Netflix doesn't butcher the show like it did Lock and Key. That would be like a real disservice to the impactful moments that Sweet Tooth does have, and I hope that they really land those moments because some of the casting really lends itself to making those moments really kind of engaging and powerful. So fingers crossed. And the only other news thing I want to talk about is that apparently there's this big groundswell movement within the Restore the Snyderverse fandom where there's a faction and a kind of schism growing because a bunch of them want to be more radical about it and a bunch of them don't. And there was this big kind of divergence in the past couple of days where this faction that really wants these movies to be made, the more aggressive faction, were like, cancel HBO Max to try to make it a trending thing. They try to make it a big impactful thing within the movement, and a bunch of other people within the fandom were like, no, don't, this is stupid, it's making us look bad, it's gonna make us look pathetic, that kind of shit. And the only thing I have to say is that the people who are really kind of aggressive about this kind of thing don't really understand the major difference between wanting a movie that was like 90%, 99% finished in terms of film content, getting like completed with post effects and everything like that, and wanting WB to make like $1 billion, $2 billion commitment to like 4 to 5 different movies that they aren't even planning on making. And like that's delusional. So I'm glad that there's some people within the fandom that aren't as stupid as that, but honestly, it's hilarious that this entire thing is crumbling because no one understands that reality. So fingers crossed that everything kind of settles down. Anyway, let's move on to what I read this week. First off, we have Cable number 10, which is a decent issue. I mean, it's not great, and it definitely feels like Duggan is trapped in a sort of hole here. It feels like we're rushing toward the climax. We're rushing toward whatever endgame had. We start off like this big exposition dump that we could only really kind of glean from previous issues, but now we're being told outright, and it's really blunt, and it becomes so obvious that this was something that wasn't meant to be so forthright, that was meant to be seeded out more, that was meant to be sort of more paced out elegantly, and it does a disservice to the issue, and it makes it feel very kind of roughshod. It's still entertaining. I feel like Duggan's writing for Cable. I feel like the general arc of the series, and it does give me some hope that this isn't where the story ends. Like I think this is the end of the road for Kid Cable, Teen Cable, whatever you want to call him, but it does give me some tiny bit of excitement for Duggan has in the future. I'm not quite sure if this is going to continue with other writers like Ewing and Sword, or even in the new upcoming X-Men title. Fingers crossed, you know. It wasn't a great issue. It definitely felt really quick and kind of unsubstantial. But I can understand the kind of trap Duggan is because it has to really wrap up in like 2 more issues. So it's not an enviable place to be in. Anyway, overall, 1 thumb middle, 1 thumb up. Next up, we have the New Mutants, and this was a great issue. It's definitely one of the strongest X books out right now. I think Ayla is doing this amazing job at really sort of expanding on the characters. Again, characters like the younger New Mutants, like the ones that are like kind of their proteges that are really obsessed with the Crucible. I think that they've gotten such a great amount of foundation set and just motivation, interpersonal kind of drastic characterization, and why there's so much inner conflict and external conflict within sort of Krakoa. And I think Ayla is really hitting on what Spurrier is hitting on in Way of X, where they're showing kind of like the hypocrisy and the sort of moral failings of Krakoa because it's such a new society and because a lot of people don't really understand how to make use of it or if they can make use of it or allowed to. So I think that's a really great thing to juxtapose and just to like shine a light on. And I think that she's doing a really great job with that. Overall, two thumbs up. There is something where like this issue is really highlighting the two distinct plots that this series is covering, and it's starting to give me vibes of the original Hickman New Mutants run, where he also had like two different plots between two different writers. And too many vibes of those. I don't think that's as bad or as jarring as that was, but it's starting to get kind of there. So fingers crossed it doesn't jump over the line. And lastly, I just want to say that I've started reading the Infinite Frontier Flash run, but it's the last three issues, the ones that had the Infinite Frontier banner on, and they are pretty decent. It's a pretty decent run so far. I was only turned on to the run when I read the recent like June solicits for DC, because one of the issues that's upcoming for the Flash sound like this classic Bronze Age Messner Loeb's plot about how Wally is broke and he's trying to find money and get a job. I thought that was really, really entertaining and funny sounding, and it really does have that early 90s, late 80s vibe to it. So much so that the plot so far in these last three issues is basically a complete ripoff of Chain Lightning, which is pretty funny. I think it's a little bit better in Chain Lightning, but it's such a straight up lift of the plot and the sort of general character beats and just the gimmick of it. It's making use of it, and again, it's just decent, standard Flash shenanigans and hijinks. And it's been way too long since a Flash series about that. Hopefully, this run continues to be only, or at least mostly, about that kind of stuff. We've had like 10 years of nothing but big plots, and it's been a bunch of nonsense, almost unreadable nonsense. And I just don't want that anymore. I want something that's actually going to make me care about the character again. And the best way to do that is actually just do a lot of simple character-based stories that you can enjoy and just enjoy for being what they are. So fingers crossed. Overall, two thumbs up. And let's move on to what I watched this week. I did not watch the series finale of Falcon Winter Soldier. I know that people are saying there's going to be a second season, or that the Captain America 4 movie that got announced is going to be like effectively the second season. I'm not quite sure what that's going to be. I just realized that with last week, when we had the Isaiah Bradley monologue, that was such a high point for both this show and just any MCU show, either Netflix or Disney Plus, that nothing was going to top that. So I just had no like motivation to watch the final episode and deflate that impact. So hopefully it turned out good. Hope anyone who was watching this series enjoyed it, and can't wait to see what they come up with Captain America 4. It's going to be the same showrunners, same writers, and you know what? Fingers crossed. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'll give a shout out to the cover artists for the show at DOTEMCE. Please check them out. They're amazing. There's a all they can get. And yeah, I want to say have a good one. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and see you again next time.